Imagine a life of luxury, fancy cars, lavish mansions, and enough money to buy anything you ever desired. Now picture a man named Bernie Madoff, a Wall Street whiz who promised exactly that kind of life to his investors. But the truth behind Bernie's success story was a house of cards, ready to crumble at any moment. For years, Bernie Madoff was a golden boy on Wall Street. His investment firm attracted celebrities, wealthy individuals, and even respected charities. They all believed Bernie was a financial genius, consistently delivering incredible returns on their investments. Little did they know, Bernie's secret wasn't some magic investment strategy, but a web of lies so big it would rock the world of finance. This video presents the story of Bernie Madoff, uncovering how a seemingly ordinary man planned one of the biggest financial frauds in history. We'll explore how he built his reputation, attracted his victims, and ultimately, how his house of cards came crashing down. So, get ready for a tale of greed, deception, and the devastating consequences of blind trust. Chapter 1. The Early Years. Bernie Madoff wasn't always a Wall Street superstar. Our story starts way back, before the fancy suits and million-dollar deals. Bernie grew up just like many others, eventually finding his way into the world of finance. In 1960, he started his own investment firm, a small company with a big dream. Back then, things were different. Bernie wasn't surrounded by celebrities or promises of incredible wealth. He focused on building a reputation for being reliable and trustworthy. He offered investment advice and managed people's money, slowly gaining the confidence of his clients. One of the things that made Bernie stand out was his focus on exclusivity. He didn't take on just anyone as an investor. He carefully picked his clients, often targeting wealthy individuals and organizations. This strategy created a sense of mystery and importance around Bernie's firm. People wanted to be part of his exclusive club, believing they were getting access to something special. Fast forward a few years, and Bernie's reputation had grown considerably. Stories about his consistent success spread like wildfire. People were eager to invest with him, hoping to get a piece of the pie. But what they didn't know was that the pie they were being served wasn't real, and Bernie's secret recipe for success was about to take a dark turn. Chapter 2. The House of Cards starts to fall apart. Bernie Madoff was swimming in money, or at least it seemed that way. His investors were happy, their accounts growing steadily. But behind the scenes, something wasn't quite right. The secret to Bernie's success wasn't some magic investment strategy, but a trick called a Ponzi scheme. Imagine a game where you promise people high returns on their money. To pay the first person, you use money from the second person who invests. Then, to pay the second person, you use money from a third investor, and so on. It seems great at first, but there's a catch. This scheme only works as long as there's a constant flow of new investors. That's exactly what Bernie was doing. He wasn't actually investing his clients' money in the stock market or any other real investments. Instead, he was using new investors' money to pay returns to existing clients. It created an illusion of success, but it was a house of cards waiting to fall apart. Here's the scary part. There were some clues. Bernie's investment strategy was super secretive. No one really knew where he was putting their money, and there weren't any outside audits to check his books. But with everything seemingly going well, most people didn't question it. Chapter 3. The Mystery Uncovered. The year is 2008. The whole world is facing a giant financial crisis, and people are starting to get nervous about their investments. Many investors are pulling out their money, wanting to play it safe. This sudden shift became a big problem for Bernie Madoff's house of cards. Remember how his Ponzi scheme relied on a constant flow of new cash? Well, with the crisis, that flow started to slow down. Bernie needed a huge amount of money to pay out promised returns to his existing clients, but it wasn't coming in as fast as before. Things got even worse when a couple of Bernie's biggest investors, shaken by the financial crisis, demanded a large chunk of their money back. Bernie simply didn't have it. He couldn't pay them without the whole scheme collapsing. This is where things get interesting. Under immense pressure, Bernie finally confessed the truth to the people he trusted most: his sons. They turned Bernie into the authorities, exposing his massive fraud to the world. The news sent shockwaves through the financial world. Bernie Madoff, the once celebrated Wall Street whiz, was revealed to be a fraudster. Billions of dollars had vanished, leaving investors devastated and charities crippled. Chapter 4. Picking up the pieces. Bernie Madoff's web of lies unraveled, leaving a trail of broken dreams and financial ruin. Billions of dollars were gone, impacting individuals, families, and even charities that relied on those funds to do good in the world. The anger and betrayal were immense. People who had entrusted Bernie with their life savings were left with nothing. Some lost their homes, their retirement plans, their entire sense of security. Charities faced massive cuts to their programs, impacting the very people they were trying to help. Legally, the hammer came down hard. Bernie faced trial and was sentenced to life in prison. It was a small comfort for those who lost everything, but it sent a clear message. Such a massive fraud wouldn't be tolerated. Chapter 5. Bernie Madoff's Fall from Grace. In March 2009, Bernie Madoff admitted guilt to 11 serious charges. These included things like cheating investors, lying on official documents, and stealing money. He said he'd been doing this for 20 years, taking almost $65 billion from people who trusted him. In June 2009, the judge gave Madoff the maximum punishment possible, 150 years in prison. Madoff's lawyers argued for a lighter sentence because of his age and health, but the judge felt the crimes were too severe. Madoff went to a prison in North Carolina. He reportedly had a rough start, even getting into fights with other inmates. There were also conflicting reports about injuries he suffered. Despite the trouble, Madoff claimed he felt safer there than on the streets of New York. In 2019, Madoff tried to get a shorter sentence, or even be released early. He claimed to be very sick, but his request was denied. He died in prison in April 2021, at the age of 82. Chapter 6. Losses of Bernie Madoff's web of lies. Bernie Madoff's name became synonymous with deception, shattering the trust people held in the financial world. His Ponzi scheme wasn't just a financial crime. It was a devastating betrayal that ripped billions of dollars from investors. Here's the gut punch. Imagine trusting someone with your life savings, your retirement dreams, only to discover it was all a house of cards. That's the harsh reality for many who fell victim to Madoff's lies. Over $18 billion vanished, a staggering sum that represents countless broken dreams and shattered futures. But the losses weren't evenly distributed. Some, like Bernie's close associates, even ended up profiting from the scheme. This adds another layer of injustice, highlighting the cruel manipulation at the heart of the fraud. The exact numbers surrounding the losses can be confusing. Early estimates were astronomical, reaching as high as $65 billion. Later calculations brought it down to a lesser amount, somewhere between $10 and $20 billion. But even the lower estimates represent a mind-boggling sum of money, a testament to the vastness of Madoff's deception. The human cost is even harder to quantify. The financial hardship caused immense stress, impacting not just people's wallets, but also their health and well-being. Charities that relied on donations from unsuspecting victims were forced to cut back on vital programs, leaving those in need with fewer resources. However, amidst the devastation, there have been glimmers of hope. Regulations were tightened, making the financial system more transparent and hopefully preventing similar schemes from taking root. Investors are also now more cautious, asking questions and demanding greater accountability from those managing their money. So, what can we learn from Bernie Madoff? Don't be blinded by promises of high returns. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Do your research, understand where your money is going and who is managing it. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to inquire about fees, risks, and investment strategies. Bernie Madoff's story serves as a warning, a reminder to be cautious and informed when it comes to our finances. By learning from his crimes, we can all be smarter investors and protect ourselves from future scams. Enjoyed the video? Now, let us know in the comments below what other financial topics you'd like us to explore. Don't forget to subscribe for more informative content.